Hello, welcome to Focus series of the podcast channel by AUA Media Lab. And I am Armine, director, writer, actress, and producer, and a lecturer at American University of Armenia. And Angela Asatrian joining me today. Thank you very much, Angela, to accept our invitation.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Angela Asatrian is a director, writer, producer, and a social person. And also, she has Armenian roots. And my first question will be about her Armenian roots. So
let's do
it. Could
you
tell us a little bit about your Armenian roots?
Yes, so my dad is actually Armenian, born and raised in Yerevan, and my mom is like third, fourth generation American. So like your typical American, Southern California surfer girl was my mom. And so when my dad came in the 70s, they fell in love. So everyone always asks me of my roots, and I say technically by blood, I'm 50% Armenian, but my spirit is 100% Armenian.
Wow.
Hokis hartokosaya. Yeah, thank you. So I was born and raised in Glendale, California. And then first time I came here, I was 19 years old, and I've been back many times and absolutely love Armenia.
Thank you so much. So how did you come to make films? How it started, why it started, and...
Into filmmaking?
Yes, into filmmaking.
So being raised in Los Angeles, absolutely loved films, movies. I grew up doing background acting and loved being on sets, except I'm not a fan of being in front of camera. I'm very shy. I love being behind the camera and, watching the magic come to life. But as a child, I'm like, well, I can't do that. I'm a kid. And I have this love and passion for helping people as well. So I figured if I can't go into film, then I'll go into social work. So I did my master's in social work, and during that time, I got to study human trafficking in the Philippines. While I was there, I asked my professor, could I do a documentary on this instead of writing a paper? And so I did a documentary on that. I learned how to use a camera, how to use audio equipment, how to edit. And it was so much fun and such an amazing experience that then I had that ta-da moment. You can combine your film for helping people, or you can combine your love for helping people and film and put it together. And as an adult, I was like, duh, I could be a filmmaker. I can produce. I can be a director. So that's what kind of helped segue me back into films, but also films that involve social impact. So then after that, I was a social worker. I did investigations on child abuse. I went out on drug raids with FBI, Border Patrol, U.S. Marshals when children were involved. We did those investigations. I was part of the child sex trafficking division, children who were being sex trafficked within San Diego, Los Angeles, Mexico area. And with all of that, again, that's where I'm like, I have to share these stories. I have to raise awareness about what's going on. So then my friend experienced the medical error in America. And I learned that it's estimated to be the third leading cause of death in the U.S. is when doctors make mistakes. So I did a documentary on that. That went into film festivals, won awards. And again, I was like, wow, this is something I can do. I'm capable of making a film and it going somewhere. So then I said, okay, I'll go into a narrative film, something, more scripted. And then, of course, the 2020 Artsakh War happened. And when that happened, I was like, okay, I know I have the talent to do it. I know I have the discipline to do it. And I know that it can go somewhere and make a difference. So it would be a crime or a shame not to do it, right? If you have the experience, you have the talent to do something and you decide not to, then that's a crime. That's a shame. So I did that. And then with all of that heaviness, the human trafficking, the medical errors, the war, I said, okay, I need to do something happy for myself. I need something to uplift my spirits. And I know everything that happened in Armenia, so do the Armenian people. So then that leads me to my new project that I'm working on now.
Thank you very much for your honest and very important thoughts for us. But before we talk about your future plans, and I totally understand your both feelings, and we all have many contradictory feelings today. But could we speak a little bit about the film, the Armenian Spirit that you made about Artsakh War? I was thinking, how am I going to that really difficult and sad topic? But I would like to ask you, if possible, like a few questions about the film, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
My first question would be about the beginning of your film. When you asked the question to your grandfather, it was, it was so exciting because the question like, what's going on? Like this naive question. We all had that question in our heads, because we realized we didn't even expect this. And so why you asked that question to your grandfather, and was it his answer that brought you to tell also the history before going to the war story?
Yes, exactly. So again, me being from America, and I didn't really go to Armenian schools growing up, so I didn't know too much history about Armenia except for the genocide. So when it was happening, I was naive. I had no idea. So I was like, what's happening? Who is Azerbaijan? I honestly didn't even hear about them before the war. I had no idea. So then he said, it's such a long story. There's so much going on. It's very complicated. You have to know the history of Armenia if you want to understand why this is happening. So then that's what led me on the journey to learn about our history, not just for the film, but for myself as well. And so I made this project not just for the Armenian community, but for other people that don't know who Armenia is, who Azerbaijan is, and why this is happening, and our history. And because Turkey and Azerbaijan are trying to destroy our history and say that, erase it, I felt it's incredibly important to try and preserve what we have and show the facts. So that's what got me into all of that. And, hearing my dad saying that it's just so complicated and so long. And I said, okay, it's a pandemic. I have nothing else to do. So I'm going to research and read and learn about our history and try and put something together.
And, it was interesting that different people were telling the history. It was a very interesting solution in the film. Why? Because I had the expression that, oh my God, she could just have three people telling the history, but many people tell. So it's as if we want to bring all our voices so that you hear us. So it was a very exciting decision.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know our attention span is also very short. So by switching it to other people would hopefully keep the audience engaged, and also using non-Armenians as well. So
Yes.
Mario Lopez was in there, who's a bigger American known celebrity, and he's a historian. Like, he loves history. So once he agreed to do this project, I knew that it would help gather a broader audience with him in it.
Wow, thank you. And one question, the analysis also talked about pan-Turkic ambitions, Ottoman ambitions, and goals and all. So did you have any response to the film when it was already released, especially to that topic?
Everyone just pretty much agreed with it. And consciously thinking about this film, I wanted to include non-Armenians so that it wouldn't have a bias. So when we were talking about pan-Turkism and expansionism, I used a Turkish historian.
Yeah.
Who talked about that. So I think it makes it even more valid when it's their own people saying, yes, this is what they're doing, this is what their goals are, as opposed to an Armenian saying that.
Yes. Definitely, that was a really also very good decision.
Thank you.
And one very sad topic about the prisoners of war that you also talked in the film and showed even those few prisoners that came back and all. Being there in the US and being among Armenians who are far from us, and even being among many people who are not Armenians. So do you think there are other solutions that we see here for the prisoners of war to bring back? What maybe you have some visions that we don't have?
It's very, very difficult because they're using our prisoners as political pawns. right? And on top of that, they're also hiding the evidence of how many POWs they have. So it's very, very difficult to even just try and figure something like that out. I know I worked with the Center for Truth and Justice, and they gathered testimonies and evidence of crimes against humanities and POWs, and they took their records to international court to show what's happening. And they're saying that they're not telling us how much they actually have. Like they'll say maybe they have 50 POWs when really in actuality they have 120. Whatever the numbers are, those aren't the exact numbers. I'm just throwing it out there. But they have more than what they're claiming to have. And so, yeah, it's very difficult. And they're using it as, pawns for their own politics. So I have no idea. And I'm very, very surprised with the international community and their, lack of involvement, their lack of actually making a change in what's happening. They say a bunch of stuff, but is there any actual actions or solutions that are happening? I don't know.
What I always think that maybe we Armenians must do really different things, more things, be more united so that we get to this very important emotional and questions.
And I think the more we can show about Armenia and who we are, then the world will know who we are and who they can help fight. Like, let me try and say that again. A lot of people don't know about Armenia, right? So this new project that I'm doing, I'm hoping to show the world who we are, what we're capable of, how beautiful our culture is and our country is. And that way, if they know who we are, they can fight for us, right? But if you don't know who a country is, you have no interest.
Yes, that will be emotionally more connected.
Exactly.
To want.
And being in the States, a lot of people, when they ask me, oh, what are you? You look a little different. And I say Armenian. And they're like, what is that? Where is that? Oh, do you mean Romanian? Oh, do you mean Albanian? No, Armenian. And now because of the Kardashians, they'll say, oh, like the Kardashians. So at least they kind of help put Armenia on the map. But still, a lot of people don't really know who we are and what kind of people we are.
In France, I usually say Chalens-Nambour.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what also means that we need to work more to bring real Armenian talent into international visibility.
Exactly.
Angela, I will ask last question about the connected to the film, and then I would really like to talk a little bit about your new project. So there is a woman who you interviewed, a very emotional interview, and who says a sentence like this, that we couldn't leave Artsakh even in war because as if you leave your sick parent in... that was a really very emotional sentence that comes from our hearts because now we feel even after 2023 that we left wounded, sick parent there, Artsakh, and how we cope with this? What do you have your own recipe, the drops of recipe? Because we filmmakers, teachers, social workers, we kind of look for them. So what would be maybe that one thing that you would suggest?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any simple answer for that. And I think for each person, coping may look differently, right? So for me to kind of help cope with that is this new project for me. For other people, it could be activism. For other people, it could be just moving forward. That's very, very difficult. I think trying to stay positive and have hope that everything will work out at the end. I think we're having faith. Just that's very, very difficult to say. As a therapist, I have a handful of recipes. For something like this, I have no idea. It's very, very difficult. For other stuff, I would say healthy coping skills, physical things, exercising, eating healthy, talking to your friends, positive thinking, keeping yourself busy and active, and sunlight and walking. Those are all good, healthy coping skills. For something this dire, for something this tragic, I don't know. It's very, very difficult.
I think it's another proof that we all must look for it together. Because
unity.
It's unity, because it's really difficult to look for it alone.
Yeah.
Really, even doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
And finally, since that was funny, I read about your future project somewhere on Instagram, and I thought, I need to meet her. And in a few days, AUA contacted me that, could you host this?
So you were manifesting that.
Yeah. I kind of did magic.
Yes. Manifesting.
So
you speak it and it happens. Right?
Yeah, definitely. So that's another proof. We need to speak and it will happen.
Exactly.
We need to really go work on it.
Exactly.
So you have a new project, and as I understand, it's related to Armenia. So what you can tell about it?
Yes. So again, like I said, with all of this heaviness that I personally had experienced with the human trafficking, the medical errors, the war, my investigations on child abuse, all of that stuff, I needed something happy and uplifting and positive. And I knew that the Armenian community did as well. And so I thought, what's happier than writing a Christmas romantic comedy, right? Something positive, something uplifting. And then to bring it back to Armenia, I said, how can I relate this project to Armenia where I can help, the cause? So I said, okay, this will have to be all American, all English, typical, Hallmark type romantic comedy, but I'll film it in Armenia. That way we get to show the world the beauty of the country, the culture, the music scene, and in hopes have the world fall in love with Armenia, help increase tourism, boost investment into the country. And that would be my way of coping with what happened, but also contributing to Armenia.
Thank you so much. And for this project that is going to come, will the film be in Armenian? Will the film be in English? Will Armenian actors be part of the film? Or if you can tell it now.
Yes, so it will be all in English. There will be a few words here and there in Armenian just to keep that authenticity and, share some of our words. Majority of my actors will be Armenian. Some will be from America. Some will be from around the world. And I also want to explore local artists as well. But the two that I have contracted are Armenians from the U.S.
Okay, that's wonderful. So all Armenian actors will gather in one film. That will be also like a very interesting kind of situation.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you can tell about that film, if you would like to tell about that film?
So I'll share the little plot line. So it follows a diasporan Armenian girl who's never been to Armenia, and she's pursuing a music career in Los Angeles. And so her producer is like, you're great, but nothing separates you from everyone else. Go eat, love, pray, go travel, go find yourself that fire, because I can't sell this. And so she goes to Armenia for the first time to find inspiration. She falls in love with the country, with the culture, with the music scene. And you see her character develop and you hear her music develop as well and grow. And of course, there's some toxic relationships and some new love interests and all of that. So it's going to be like a fun, uplifting, simple, easy film. And purposely, I am not including any talks of war, any talks of genocide, no talks of Turkey, because I don't want to give any major networks like Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon any reason to not touch this film. So purposely, I'm thinking of that to not incorporate that in the film. And plus, in all of the films that we have, the Armenian movies that we have, we always talk about that. There's always Turkey involved with our films, with our culture and country. And that's important definitely to share. And I did that in the Armenian Spirit. So this one, I want 0. Let's just have one happy, positive, uplifting film about Armenia with none of them involved in it, with no Turks, no Azerbaijans involved in it.
That's also a solution to just think they don't exist.
Yes, exactly. In this world that I created, there is no Turkey or Azerbaijan.
This is very funny.
Yeah. Our biggest concern in the film is her music career and her love life. That is our biggest worry.
Okay, thank you very much for that story and for your plans. And I'm really I really hope everything will come true with that project.
Thank you.
And last thing you would like to say in this podcast? Hopefully you say many things to Armenians in future, but one last thing that you would like to say to Armenian people today?
Well, just for part of this project is that we're exploring collaboration. We're looking for product placement and investment into this film to help kind of bring this into fruition. So if it's something that people are interested in, to reach out to me. I'm on Instagram, Angela Asatrian. They could contact me, any kind of involvement we can do. And I really want to include the Armenian community from here at whatever capacity. So we're, exploring local musicians, local talent, all of that stuff to incorporate them in the film. That'll be interesting. And then just one final message for the Armenian people is that continue having faith, continue moving forward, I think what's most important is that we're all united together instead of dividing each other. We have to focus on our love for the country instead of specifics that separate us. Because that's the thing that could destroy us is when we fight against each other. And that's what they want.
Yes.
So we have to stay united and move forward in faith.
Yes, totally agree with you. And yes, I'm the first one that is ready to collaborate with you with your project.
Fantastic, fantastic.
So you already have the first will. Okay, and thank you for your last words. I absolutely agree with you. Thank you, Angela, for joining us today in a podcast channel by your American University of Armenia, and hope to meet in future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.